Good afternoon, cult members, and welcome to Pop Culture Cult. I'm Sean.
I'm Janice.
And welcome to our trailer reaction for The Matrix Resurrection. Matrix 4. We will get into a lot of The Matrix and what it is for me personally going forward, but I'm really interested to see what this trailer is, because I thought this series was done. Lana had different ideas. So here we go, Matrix Resurrection, and go.
Thomas? You seem particularly triggered right
Cat.
now. Can you tell me
He
what
called him
happened?
Thomas.
I've had dreams that weren't just dreams.
Am I crazy? We don't use that word in here.
It is Neil Patrick Harris. Trinity.
Have we met? One pill makes you larger
Oh, wow.
and makes you small, and the ones that mother gives you don't do anything at all. Go
Why, oh, why did I take the blue?
when she's 10 feet tall.
Time to fly.
And if you go chasing rabbits,
If you want the truth, Neo, you're going to have to follow me.
and you know
Follow the White Rabbit.
The only thing that matters to you is still here. I know it's why you're still fighting and why you will never give up. You don't know me. No?
I am the chosen one.
Fields is still around. Nope. That was a cool shot.
That was.
Oh, that was cool. That was a subway. That's the bank lobby.
In the
After all
building
this-
where he dodged
Going
bullets.
back to where it all started. Back to the Matrix.
Thanks, George.
Roll credits.
Doom. That's just the music alone is worth going back to this, right?
So we're gonna go see this in IMAX.
Oh
right?
yeah, at least IMAX, probably 7 times. This is a same day premiere HBO Max in theaters too,
Yeah,
because
but
it's Warner Brothers and they
I mean-
decided to screw everybody.
yeah, cool. We will go see it probably at least twice in the movie theater,
Yeah.
and then watch it, repeatedly on HBO Max.
Right,
but we'll
right.
probably see it at least twice in the movie theater.
Now I want to talk about the other 3 first, and then we can get into this trailer a little bit because
Okay.
there's a lot of parallels between this one and the first.
Right.
The first Matrix, like everybody else, just blew my mind off
Right.
and everything like
Right.
that. And I know I'm in the minority around here, at least on the planet, that I really liked the second and third ones.
I didn't like them as much as the first. Well, I didn't like the third one as much as the first one. The first 2, I think the second one was okay. Mostly, I think it's just super esoteric, and you really have to. I mean, there's so many layers that it's hard for people to. They were like, the first one is just he's dodging bullets, and that's cool, and I don't have to think about it a whole lot. And then
You start actually going into it with the Wachowskis, and there's a ton here about Jesus metaphors, trans rights, gay rights, being comfortable with yourself, whatever that version of that stuff is.
human right, just basic human rights.
Human rights.
Yeah.
There's a ton in there about just following the protocol of the day because that's what you're supposed to do,
Yep.
and releasing yourself from that. And so there's just tons and tons and tons and tons of layers there, and people get lost in the first one of the new camera angles and the new fighting style and all that stuff.
Yeah.
They lose that track in the next two. It's fine, we'll get you there. With all that, this one has a lot of the similar parallels, at least in this trailer, about, he's in the Matrix and he kind of feels a little lost, and they're trying to set him free. And why are they trying to set him free? Is he the chosen one again, or
Right.
or that kind of stuff?
Yeah. And I felt it was really interesting because the very first shot is very bright, and I'm trying to think of, like, some of the fight scenes, I guess, in the Matrix were very bright daylight, but
Yeah.
most of the time, when they were up on the roof, I guess that was kind of daylight, but most
Yeah.
of the stuff was, even if it was daytime outside, they were in a dilapidated building or down in the
Right.
subway, and so it was dark. So that very first scene, I was like, wow, the colors are very, like, the Matrix got a upgrade.
And I think that's actually what's going on here.
Yeah.
I honestly think that the machines, instead of doing this just on the edge dystopian
Yeah.
whatever,
Yeah.
and having everything kind of be dark and muted and everything, learned their lesson, because that's what they did the whole time.
Right.
In the whatever versions of whatever, they kept improving it. And then this improvement, they actually brightened everything up to
Yeah.
give a little bit more positivity of
Yeah.
what's going on. Not
Because they talk about that. He's not the key maker, the ultimate supreme guy in the building.
the architect.
The architect
Yeah.
explains that they've done this over and over and over and over
Right.
again,
I was gonna bring
and
that
they
up, yeah.
had this perfect, utopia, and people didn't buy it. They didn't believe
Entire
it.
crops were lost.
Yeah.
Is his exact line.
Yeah, so yeah, it's like they're fine tuning the, you got to have the bad, but you got to also have enough good to make people stop wanting to get out,
Mm-hmm.
or figure out how to get out, like he did in the first one, but not enough to where they're just bored because everything is so
It's-
happy and wonderful.
In what's the Partridge Family song that's going through my head that I can't think of the lyrics right now, but it's going
Come on,
about-
get happy?
Yeah, come on, get happy. That kind of thing. For me, I at least see this as the last scene of the last movie is them plugging Neo back into the Matrix.
Yeah.
And they make a point, and the architect even, like, as much as people complain about that scene, there's so much fucking stuff in that scene that's so good.
Yeah.
He talks about, like we were just saying, this is the 16th iteration or whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like if you take that and you take what's going on here, it almost feels like they're on the 17th iteration.
Yeah.
And Neo is still the chosen one, but he's still
They've done enough to make him not do the same thing again, or
right.
or because he purposefully plugged back in.
They were able to do stuff.
He gave up his free will, or whatever, to make him not remember, but he's still having these dreams, and
instead of having somebody come in and be that authoritative figure and tell him, you're doing this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. Now you have a therapist saying, well, maybe you're not wrong, and maybe you need to, think of it this way, and like kind of mold him in a direction, because they know they have to keep him controlled, because even in the real world, he was able to fight against the squiddies. I'm like, squiddles. Is that squishy Skittles? Is that what that is?
Skittle with tentacles.
But having that idea of, again, we're talking about control. Everything about the Matrix is about control and releasing your ability to, or allowing yourself to be controlled.
Yeah.
And so if he plugged himself back into the Matrix and he has this more utopian version of his life,
Yeah.
then yeah, I want to be here for this.
And he
story.
also knows, right? Because I don't.
on a
I get the
subconscious level, yeah.
right. Well, because 99.9% of the time, people weren't pulled out of the Matrix and then plugged back in.
Right, right.
Right. So, that does that even work? Does it?
Yeah, yeah.
Do you actually forget? I guess if you did it because you wanted to, because I want to eat a steak and know it's a steak, or not think it's tasty weed or whatever, then your mind has just blocked it out. You've just
Right,
forgotten about it. But
right.
he didn't necessarily want to go back in. That was just his.
It was his
Destiny.
bargaining chip to get rid of Smith.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
Smith had taken over the whole program
Right,
himself,
right.
and that was definitely an issue. They will explain Carrie-Anne Moss. I'm envisioning that she is kind of like Neo. Trinity's kind of like Neo, where there's always a version of her inside the Matrix somehow.
Maybe.
And he always,
Or maybe she plugged back in too.
well, she was dead by the time we got
Was she?
Yeah, that's how he
thought
gets
she
to the
was-
city, and
okay.
she dies getting hit with all the.
Oh, that's right.
the
Yeah,
spikes
yeah,
and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Some people have been complaining that Lawrence Fishburne isn't in this, and we get Yahya Abdul Mati III. I love saying his name, by the way. As a version of Morpheus.
Right.
They didn't necessarily say it's Morpheus,
Right.
but again, we're talking about the idea of control, and is this the Matrix giving him things that he is familiar with, or
Yeah.
at least visuals that he's familiar with?
Yeah.
The fight arena,
And it's a new iteration, so the Morpheus character would potentially be younger,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I kind of felt like the blonde or the blue-haired girl might have been like Twitch,
yeah, I thought the same thing.
or an iteration,
or
a younger iteration
yeah,
of
yeah.
Twitch. So
I like all that. The only other thing I want to talk about with this was this is Lana on her own. This is not doesn't have Lily involved in it. And I was just reading an article, and Lily had talked about they did Jupiter's Ascending, the first season of season 8, and something else like back to back, and so
and she's just ready for a break.
and she started her transition while all that was going on.
Right.
And so she was just exhausted and just done with everything and whatever. And
Yeah.
then they lost their mom and their dad within 5 weeks of each other.
Oh, jeez.
And so, who were highly supportive of both of their transitions and stuff like that. And so her conversation with Lana had started having this idea of doing another Matrix, and Lily was like, I'm at a point in my life where I don't want to go retread things from the past that were
From that old life. Yeah.
And as much as I love my sister and I love the story and I think that's going to be good, I'm not in a state with my personal life where I want to go back
Yeah.
and have, bring up all this old stuff, which is a completely adult understanding yourself and everything like that.
I think both of them
love.
have valid. I mean,
Yeah.
for themselves, they have valid reasons for wanting to do it.
Yeah.
So
and,
cool.
and Lana's or Lily is working on a show right now, Work in Progress, where she executive produces it. And
Oh, okay.
And she's kind of the showrunner. So it's just awesome because they were always kind of connected.
Yeah.
And there was always introduced as the Wachowski brothers.
Right.
And then they
And then this one's not the Wachowski sisters.
and now this is not the Wachowski.
It's
and
just Lana.
And they're supportive of each other. This was something, and I just thought it was really
cool.
good. I want New Rockstars to do a breakdown of this trailer because there's a bunch of stuff that I recognize, but there's going to be a bunch of stuff in the background that I didn't quite get.
Yeah,
so.
and I think that's on purpose to kind of give you those member berries without being blatant about them. So you're like, what does that look from? Which is probably what Neo's kind of going through too.
Right. The one thing I've seen this trailer 3 times now. The 2 things I caught early on, and then got wrapped up in the thing, is when they transition, when they are that opening scene where they're in the village or whatever, the screen like it does when they're telling the story. Morpheus is telling the story, and it kind of phase through the screen. So there's that shot, and then when they're talking, when Neil Patrick Harris, as the therapist,
Therapist.
is talking to him. They do a side shot like this. Instead of a side shot this way,
Yeah.
they do it this way.
Yeah.
And his eyes are blue. There's a blue tint on the inside of his on the
Oh,
inside of the glasses.
Where it would. Oh.
So like he's reading something on the inside of his glasses.
Oh, he has Google Glass.
So he has Google Glass, and then it's a different therapist at the end.
Yeah, I
And
noticed
that's
that.
the
That was
guy-
like,
That's the guy who plays King George in Hamilton.
Yeah.
So it's, again, you're messing with it, so much. So that's our thoughts on Matrix Resurrections. A ton of stuff still to talk about this. Let us know what you thought of this trailer and our reaction to it in the comments down below. Please be nice. There's a requirement around here. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and follow us on all the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Links are in the description down below. And until next time, cult members, I'm the one.